What a 12 months it was here in the so-called Pink Palace, from economic reopenings to panic shutdowns to much maligned news conferences, vax passes, and a shift into election mode. 2021 was one unprecedented year here at Queen's Park. The year started with surging COVID cases, but also with some hope at Queen's Park. What with some long-term care workers becoming the first people in Ontario to receive the COVID vaccine.
You did great.
On March 5th, the Ford government announced Toronto, Peel, and North Bay would exit the stay-at-home order that had been in place since January. It was a decision Premier Ford would perhaps come to regret. Just 10 days later, the Ontario Hospital Association declared Ontario to be in a third wave. Then on April 1st, amid rising infections, Premier Ford announced a third province-wide shutdown.
This is a new pandemic. We're now fighting a new enemy. The new variants are far more dangerous than before.
On April 16th, Ford held what would probably become his most maligned news conference of the year, in which he and Solicitor General Sylvia Jones announced that police had been granted the right to randomly stop and question individuals they suspected of violating the stay-at-home order, including compelling them to provide their home address and reason for travel.
Police will also have the authority to stop a vehicle to inquire about an individual's reason for leaving their residence.
The government was forced, though, to walk that back just one day later, after a number of municipal police departments announced that they would not perform the random stops.
I'm sorry, and I apologize to each and every one of you. Simply put, we got it wrong.
As cases began to ease, the Premier announced the roadmap to reopen in June, but then seemingly disappeared for the summer, staying out of the public eye ahead of the federal election.
I didn't want to get involved in this federal election, and we're doing our job.
The Premier, though, reemerged as the proof of vaccine debate was raging.
The answer is no. We aren't going to do it. We aren't going to have a split society.
But on September 1st, a backtrack.
Justin Trudeau has told us that they will not be rolling out a national vaccine passport while their election is ongoing. We can't wait any longer. We must take immediate action.
As Ontario moved into the fall, the government appeared to move into election mode, releasing campaign ads.
I'm Doug Ford, leader of the Ontario PCs, and we're the party saying yes.
And making campaign announcements.
When Ontario is firing on all cylinders, well, world, watch out.
As well, the government began deploying its campaign messaging in the legislature.
The Premier continues to say no.
Everything's no without a solution from the leader of the opposition. We're a party of yes.
The most interesting times are still to come here at the legislature. We're 6 months away from the June 2nd election. Polls have showed Ontarians are pretty much split on how they feel about Premier Ford. His prospects for the election still pretty much unknown. It really depends on what happens with the virus. Outside Queen's Park, Richard Southern, City News.